feel like I was just like bopping. I don't know.
I know.
But the beginning is so intense, and then you like bop through it and you're like, okay, less scary. I like this.
It's true.
Hi, everyone. We're live on a bunch of different places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all over. And we are literally live just to talk shop. So if you want to comment and join our conversation or ask questions, legitimately, you are welcome. We'd love to have you. Ladies, I think we should like introduce ourselves, although I'm pretty sure if you're tuning into the craziness that is a Sunday evening, you probably know us, but Megan, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Meghan Deegan. I teach 7th grade math in the suburbs of Chicago. And I am also this one makes me stop and think because my title just changed.
It did.
I know. I am the one of the ambassador program coordinators for the Teach Better team.
Okay, that title is like, that sounds very official.
It's very fancy.
Very official. Katelynn, I feel like your title changes every month and a half. Like, is that kind of on the same?
It's pretty legit. I do have to stop and think about like, what is it that I'm doing and what is it called? It's fine.
Do you know what you do for the Teach Better team? I feel like you're just the boss. Like, do you actually do?
She just does
everything.
I feel like I just like little things everywhere, but yeah, boss works. I mean, I'll accept that. I'll take it.
Wait, what if we created that boss stood for something?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Like,
then that would actually be like my name.
Because we call you the boss all the time. We need boss to stand for something. I have some inappropriate thoughts in my head. I need to like find the right.
It's that kind of Sunday, everybody.
I'm sorry, guys.
Welcome to our live.
Welcome.
I am excited to catch up with both of you. Sorry, Katelynn, you can introduce yourself with whatever you decide to title yourself today.
Hi, everyone. I'm the boss. That's all. No, I'm just kidding. I'm Katelynn Giordano. I am a 6th grade language arts and social studies teacher in Illinois. And I am the training and development specialist, also known as the boss.
Also known as the boss. I love this. This is awesome. For those who don't know me, my name's Ray Hewart. I am a full-time 6th grade math teacher and the director of training and development for the Teach Better team. And here's the story. I feel like we need to like lay the groundwork for what tonight is, because I don't want you to have really high expectations and have us let it down. So Meghan,
lower them.
Yeah, lower them. So Meghan, Katelynn, and I like talk shop all the time, just between the three of us. We have a Voxer group. And like, in addition to like a ton of other people on the team, like our team is just very family focused. We're just always messaging, always talking. And we specifically were just like, we haven't chatted in a while. Meghan, how's your classroom going? Katelynn, how's your classroom going? And we were like getting mixed up in our conversations. I'm like, girls, we just should like talk sometime and catch up because I want to share ideas. And we're like, well, we could do that, but we also could just live stream it and like talk through stuff. And maybe someone will ask a question that we can help with, or maybe we'll just steal ideas from each other. Either way. And then literally that's where it ended. Like that's as far as we got.
These are some of the best ones though, I feel like, because we always get off on these like really intense like tangents that are so like substantial. And I feel like it's so great because it's exactly what like one of us or multiple of us need at that moment, which is usually an indicator that like someone else is there too. And so I feel like it just ends up being like really targeted, awesome conversation / professional help.
It is funny though. I was thinking about all the commonalities between us that somebody, if they were watching from the outside, they'd be like, oh, they're all in Illinois. They're all middle school. They're like, well, math ELA, 6th grade, 7th grade. Like, I think that you could like put us in a box, but the reality is I just want to put it out there and we love it. We all teach very differently, which I really like. Like, it's so funny to me when people are like, wait, such and such doesn't use the grid method. And it's like, no, why they have their own methodology that they use and they fill these gaps in different ways. And like, I just really like that all of our classrooms are very different, even though we have so many things in common. That's why I like talking shop with you, because talking shop with people that teach exactly like I do, then we're just like, what, like patting ourselves on the back, like, good job with that, process.
Good job, Ray.
Yeah, I try. Also, we're getting a lot of comments, guys. I'm gonna try really hard to pay attention to these comments. We're really glad you're here. I'm specifically, I feel like, gonna look for question marks because then that usually means somebody has a question. But knowing like Dave Schmitto, who's in here.
Oh my God, that's what I was gonna say.
He's gonna start ending everything with question marks. So there's no way to manage it. Yeah.
Sorry.
So where do we begin? What's up, ladies?
Oh man, life is good. It is crazy, but it's going. This remote teaching thing. Oh my gosh.
Thanks, Dave.
We love it.
Yeah, remote teaching is very fun. Wait, Jessica says, I'm excited to hear from all of you. Also, Ray, your video tip on Instagram was amazing. I'm so excited. Hey, I'm glad I did something. Guys, can I tell you the real story behind that? So do you guys record your screens ever? Can you tell me, first of all? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever record your screen on your phone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, if you guys know this already and you never told me, I'm gonna be really upset. So on the computer, I know how to record my screen. I have like 15 programs I can recommend. But on my phone, I never knew how to do it. So I downloaded an app and the app showed me how to do it. But did you know there's something on your phone that you can just record your screen?
No.
I just learned it recently though, so I feel like that kind of gives me like a
So my student teacher showed me Friday.
I'm really proud of you, Ray.
I'm really glad that you guys knew this because the tip I shared, Jessica, the tip I shared on Instagram was using that same thing on just an iPad. I'm just really upset that I didn't know this. All I'm saying.
I didn't know you could do it on an iPad.
Okay, what? I only know you could do it because our students have iPads, and so I had to like figure out how to like do something with them. So I was recording an iPad screen to show to them. So like, to be realistic, it's not something that I've known for like years and years, but I figured the same would translate to my phone.
Can we just set a rule?
And I didn't. So
I just want to like set a rule. Like if you learn something that's helpful and you don't share, that makes you selfish. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So every time I figure something out, send Ray a message. Understood.
Because then okay, my background on my phone is mangoes, but then I even learned that when you pull it down, now it's right there. I can like, I hate you for not showing me this. That's all I'm saying. Whatever.
Just gonna kick us out now. We're just done.
Yeah, we're gonna leave. Okay.
All right, this is legit. So I know we want to talk about like teaching and we'll take questions and stuff for us, but like, this question is, are all three of you teaching in different setting, in person, online, blah, blah, blah? What's the situation? Because actually the last time we probably spoke, at least over the phone, I think all of our situations have changed. So what do you think?
So we in my district are fully virtual, fully online, seeing our students that way. And that's the only thing. We did have kids come in, sixth graders only, to come like see the school because sixth grade is the first year of middle school. So I did get to like meet some of my kids socially distanced and in masks. So that was really nice that I got to actually see them not via computer, but all of our teaching is being done online, though we are doing it from our classrooms.
So you're going into your school building, although you're teaching remotely.
Correct.
I'm just prefacing all the small details. I feel like people are going to ask that stuff, but Megan, what about you? Are you similar?
So we're 100% remote right now. And we do have the option of working from school or from home. So I've been working from school for 2 weeks. Up until Friday, I tried working from home. So, you know, I'll be back at school tomorrow. So.
Not as productive at home.
You know, I really like it. Like, hey, getting to cuddle my dog on my lunch break is phenomenal. But at work, they brought me, so I had flexible seating last year that they obviously took away when we thought we were going to have kids back. Yeah. And so I had a couple tables that were adjustable, standing and sitting. So they brought that back in for me so that I can stand and sit and like switch it up during the day, which is great because sometimes I just really want to stand and other times, you know, I kind of want to sit. So I really like my work setup and I like having a whiteboard behind me because I'll be, you know, on Zoom with the kids and be like, oh, okay, yeah, here, like, let's do this problem, which I just feel like is a little harder when it's doable. It's just harder when I'm at home. So.
Okay, wait, now I have way more questions. So first of all, can you both tell me what programs you're using if you're going live with students? And also, do you have any requirements for going live with students in terms of like scheduling live sessions? Tell me both of those things.
All right, so we are live with students using Zoom. Our district has a Zoom like subscription for all of us, so that's really nice because it's a little bit more secure that way.
Sure.
And we get all of the features and stuff like that that come with having that subscription, so that is nice. Scheduling is interesting. So I have a block, which is 2 class periods for my English classes. So
Okay.
I have them like 4th and 5th, and then 7th and 8th. Our schedule is so that I'm seeing kids face to computer.
Face to
first,
computer.
yeah.
Did you say
I
face
don't know
to
how
computer?
to call it. Yeah, face to face via computer.
Like right
I don't
now?
know.
Right
Yeah,
now,
like now.
the computer.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. So I have like odd class periods on Mondays, evens on Tuesdays. It's like a weird flip flop like that. But
Okay.
because of my block, I see my English kids every single day. It's so weird. Like, it's messed my planning up so bad.
So because it's like odd and even, I see you see your kids every day, but for different hours.
Correct. At different times of the day. So it's really throwing them off. It's really throwing me off.
Do you have to be live with them? Is that like a requirement or no?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Megan, what about you?
So we are also using Zoom, and my district also has like the subscription to it, which is awesome. And we are following our entire building is following our normal schedule. So, but our requirements are, because the kids have to be live for 2.5 hours, but have 5 hours of instruction. We're doing, so our like PE health and our, what we call our encore, which is like our art and our STEM. And then like I do math enrichment intervention. Those are normally 45-minute class periods. So those class periods have to be live for 25 minutes. And then 20 minutes of what we're calling on your own time, which would be them working on an assignment that they either haven't completed. And then our core classes are 65 minutes. So we have to be 30 minutes live Zoom with them, and then 30 minutes on your own time.
Okay.
Every day.
Mine's totally different from both of you. I'm only able to use Google Meets. There's no other, we can't use Zoom, no WebEx, nothing. So Google Meets. I have to be live 3 times a week with students for at least 20 minutes. We are running our full school schedule. What am I missing? I think that's all the details. So it's kind of like a combination of both, but nothing like either of yours.
Yeah, it's interesting. So we've like spent a lot of time just like setting stuff up.
Sorry, I should mention, I'm fully remote. So I have not met my students, nothing. We've been only face to computer. Yeah.
That's what I'm calling it, because it's not face to face.
It's not. No.
I don't know what else to call it.
Oh my gosh, there's so many comments, and most of them are just Dave tweaking out. Okay, here's one. As teachers are beginning to figure things out other than rest and grace, what do you need from admin? What do you need from each other and parents right now? Can I totally take over Dave's question and be like, guys, I feel really bad for our families. Like, I feel like my parents are the ones that are so stressed. If you're an educator right now and you haven't really like directly sent a message thanking your parents for the just still breathing, do that right now. The stress that I feel like my families are feeling is so high. I feel so bad for them.
Yes, there have been so many conversations that I've had via email with families, even just about like getting books to their kids, because they're like, we're reading, like that's a part of what we're expecting, and like part of ELA, like obviously we gotta get kids reading. And so I'm like coordinating with families to do like book handoffs like
Right.
in the parking lot. Cause I'm like, we got to do this. And like, we've got to make it happen. And they're like, I don't know what else to do. I can't go buy all these books.
No. So speaking of that, I don't know if you, Meghan, if you're doing this, but my school organized every Tuesday from 4 to 7, you can like come pick up resources if the teacher has left resources. So like, I'm not requiring families to pick things up, but if students really want something printed, I can print it for them and they can pick it up on Tuesdays. But it's like, that's helping.
Nice.
But
Yeah,
to have to
that's
organize
really
that
nice.
on your own would be hard.
Yeah,
I mean,
we
it
did.
just is what it is.
Yeah, we did one supply pickup. It was before we had, it was a couple days before like we actually got the kids. So they had to come get, I mean, it was mainly like textbooks that they were going to need. We weren't allowed to send, and I'm just speaking for, I feel like my ELA people, because I don't teach ELA, but I just know they weren't, and I'm going to say allowed, but like they weren't able to send books home because just of like the numbers that we have and the sets, like just not having enough really to send home to everyone. And I know our ELA teachers just started a new curriculum this year. And so they're just learning that. So I think it was also paired with an unfamiliarity of what to expect with the curriculum to pair it with books. So yeah, I know that. I'm glad like you guys get to send stuff home. That's awesome.
I know, it would be nice. I mean, that would be nice. And I think it was like just trying to offer as many options as possible. So it's awkward. And I just want to like put this out there because I don't know if you guys are willing to say it. But like, Dave, I would love to talk about admin, but we'll have to talk in generality just simply because we are all in school districts, all with incredible leadership. And so this isn't necessarily a criticism at all. But in terms of what you need from administration, would there be some like general elements, whether you're getting it or maybe not feeling like you're receiving it, of what you would want from leaders right now? And I think it's because Dave's coming from a good place. He's like, I'm a leader. I know leaders. I work with leaders. I mean, Dave runs the Teach Better Mastermind. He's like, what can I communicate to leadership that they should consider doing? What do you think you would recommend?
I feel like part of what he said, like just the grace to know that what we're doing, even though it's not perfect every day, because I mean, we're learning as we go. This is totally new, but just the grace for us to try new things and have failures and have it be okay and know that we are really just doing the best that we can be doing, even if sometimes it's not always like at the best of what it normally would look like.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, so I have to say, like, my principal is a phenomenal human being. He is like through the hallways, like playing music in the mornings, like saying hello to everybody, checking in on everybody. And that to me, like, has taken things from, wow, this is really, really hard to this is still really, really hard, but like someone is here and has my back and is doing everything they can to make it better. And so I would say just like little things like that, like he bought a bunch of coffee on Friday and walked around and was like giving teachers coffee, or like took his speaker and like walked around the hallways and was playing music and saying hello. Like it's little things like that where, number one, like we don't get to see people very much right now. So It was really great to even just like have someone like waving outside my door, but also like just the idea that like, yes, okay, we're going to handle this. We're going to be positive and we're going to like bring people's spirits up as much as possible. Like that was huge.
Well, and I couldn't agree more with that. I think the biggest elements I'm seeing that I'm finding really like hit home for me is when my administrator takes something off my plate. And I know that's hard because obviously like I'm in the classroom, I'm teaching 150 kids. Like I don't at all, I'm not like alluding to like my principal taking over teaching for me. Like I get that, but like organizing the parent pickup and having that be something consistent that I know is going to take time and I'm like fully aware is a bigger task than just, oh, come pick stuff up. Like obviously there's a lot of logistics, but those small things that then can be scalable and become consistent norms are really helpful for me. Cause then I'm not saying, oh boy, how do I like do this for this one kid? And then I have to like reinvent the wheel for the next student. But I have like an easy go-to of, oh, here's an option for you. It's just kind of nice to have that be like school-wide versus teacher to teacher, team to team, personally.
Yeah. I would say too, our librarian in our district has been fantastic too. And I would say like librarians, if you're familiar with the books that you have available on like your ebook checkout or anything like that, do some book talks of those particular books that you know kids have access to via your online checkout system. Like make sure that you're book talking those specific ones, because that's one of those things that taking that off of my plate would be fantastic and has been, because I'm not like ultra familiar with everything we have in an ebook title.
Right.
But that's so awesome to hear a book talk and get my kids excited about a book that they can actually have right now.
Right. No, that makes sense. This question's interesting. I don't know who posted this. Sorry. If you're in our private group commenting, it does come up as Facebook user, so I apologize. But it says, how do we hold parents accountable? How do you make their home conducive for learning? I'm just going to throw this out there. The first part of this question, I could get on my soapbox about. The second part of this question, I think, is super important to discuss. Where do you guys want to begin?
I mean, I think, and I know it's already, we've already set, Ray, you've already brought this up in the live. It's the stress that we have right now is quadrupled for a lot of these parents who are a lot of them trying to work, and a lot of them not from home, and trying to make sure that their kids are, I mean, I know it, for most of us, all of us at times, my kids have to be live at a certain point in time. They have to be on, or they get marked absent. And I think that that's a lot of pressure, and it's something that they're not used to. Yes, this is different for us, but the teaching and the relationships with the kids, that is something that we do all the time. So I think that we really have to give the parents grace. And I'm not saying that it kind of goes out the window, but one of the things that I've really been doing is I've been reaching out to some of my parents. So if I'm having any issues, for example, I have a student who, he's a great kid, but he is in a home where you can tell when he is online, he has, I think, like 4 other kids around him, and they're all younger. And that is really distracting to him. And so, the conversation wasn't, I need this to change. It was, how can we work together? What can I do to help you? I really want, I understand that there's a lot going on, and that might be the only setup. So what can we do to make this better? So I think kind of going in with that team mindset of how can I help you and what can we do is going to be a world of a difference, especially in the response that you get.
Oh my gosh, Meghan. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ray.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was talking to Neil Gupta yesterday, the Dr. Neil Gupta that we all know and love. And his tagline for parents and accountability right now, and even with students and behavior, is be curious, not furious. If you see something, I know he said it, and I was like,
say that again slower. Say that again slower.
Not furious.
Love it.
Right. So he said that, and I'm like, that just keeps coming to mind right now, because like you said, Meghan, our families are under so much pressure. They are here trying to support students while having jobs, while taking care of their home and 800 other things. Their kids are going through a trauma that they have never gone through before. And not only are they trying to support that emotionally, they're trying to support them actually going to school from home and learning in a situation that isn't built for learning most of the time. There is a reason that we have school buildings, and we are not able to use them the way that we do normally. And so our families are really trying to do everything they can. And so when something isn't working, our first response should not be to get angry and to be like, why aren't you making this work? Why aren't you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Why aren't you doing this? It should be, how can I help you? What do I need to do to make this easier for you? Because we need to be curious, not furious.
I love that phrase. I tried to look up on my phone who said the comment, because I wanted to speak like directly to you, and it's not coming up easily on my phone, so I apologize. I think the way we speak, the language we use is incredibly important and impactful. Like that statement alone, Katelynn, you're saying it's a phrase, right? It's a great catchy phrase, but it has a lot of meaning, right? And I think that this question, I'm going to be super nitpicky, which I know is so moronic, guys, because we're talking on a Sunday night. It doesn't matter how we ask our questions because we really are here to be brainstormers and partners and all this stuff. But like, I really disagree with the way this question was asked. And I say that knowing that our community, I love you all. Like whoever posted this, like, let's talk more. But how do we hold parents accountable is the wrong question for us to be asking. It's how do we teach our students to be accountable? That's the thing that we need to focus on. And I know you both said it, like I'm not saying anything that's earth shattering, but for our parents, we don't hold parents accountable. We need to instruct our students so they can hold themselves accountable. And you have to structure your classroom in a way that gives them the ability to fail in that and be successful in that so they find what accountability looks like. But if your mindset is, how can I hold my parents accountable? I don't care what age your students are, you are already starting like in a losing battle. Versus if your mindset, exactly what you guys were saying before, if your mindset is, how can I partner with my family to teach my student to be accountable for themselves, then you're going to find that partners become like allies in the process and the students become the learners that can take ownership over the accountability you're seeking for your classroom. So it's funny that you both start with the beginning of that comment, because I think this is a phenomenal question and comment made. I just wouldn't have started with that first part because I was like, I think we have to shift our mindset. I don't care if you're teaching kindergartners or high school seniors. If you're not setting up a classroom where you're facilitating students learning how and when to take accountability for their work, their learning, their mindset, everything in between, it's going to be like pulling teeth. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. But then again, I also think how do you make your home conducive for learning? That is the perfect avenue to, you are trying to set your child up for success. You are trying to say, what can I do as the teacher to help the student? So that's why I'm so confident this person didn't really mean the first part of the question in the same way that it probably reads. I just think it's important to address. And I think that we have to have instruction around how to set up a learning environment. We had an entire week dedicated to it. And I know a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, a week dedicated to setting up a learning space? But like, yeah, we did. It's hard. And I'm saying that I live in a 3-bedroom home by myself with 2 dogs and I have a full office. And you know what? Like that's a luxury and it's conducive. And I had it before COVID because of the work I do at Teach Better. Like I was set up for success. The majority of my students, 99% of them, don't have this luxury. So how do we help them create a little bit so they can be successful?
So true. It's so true. And it's that teaching component. You have to teach the behaviors that you expect. You can't just expect them to have them.
Yeah. Did you guys do anything with students like to help them with that? I mean, I still have students that I tried to help with them with their learning environment, but they're just in a really crazy household, you know?
Yeah, I think we did. We did spend a lot of time like getting ourselves set up and ensuring that our learning environment was good for us. And it had a lot to do with like figuring out who we are as learners, if that makes sense. So I had my kids think about like, do I prefer an environment that's got a little bit more going on, a little bit more noise, a little bit more commotion? Maybe I need something really silent. I need to have headphones on. I need to just be able to hear what's going on my computer. So we really maybe we need to be sitting in a comfortable chair. Maybe we prefer sitting on our couch. And I talk about that because personally, when I'm going to write something, I have to be sitting on my couch. I can't do it at my desk. So if I'm actually writing, it's on my couch. And so it's a weird thing, but it's true. And so I talked to my kids about that. Okay, tell me about.
Wait, can I just? Brandon just texted me. He's the one that posted the question. I love you, Brandon. You're an all-star educator in Peoria. I'm so glad you're live with us. And I'm glad you posted that question because Brandon's the coolest educator ever. So shout out to Brandon.
Hey, Brandon. But yeah, so like we spend a lot of time with that, like figuring out what is going to work for me as a learner, what is going to work in my setting, in my house. And so just talking through with kids, like, what do you need to do to be successful at school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We're still working on it. I mean, I've got so many students that, and I can tell as I see them, sometimes I see them in one spot and then the next day we've changed to something else. And, it's figuring out, like, I have a lot of kids that, what Dave's question, I love literally everything about it. But I have kids that are Zooming from their bed. I don't care. I mean, if that's the only quiet place in your house and that's where you're comfy and that, like, or if you're doing my work, I don't care.
It's funny because when people would ask me before we like started virtually, like, well, are you going to let students like go live from their bedroom? The answer was like, no, of course not. That's not a good spot. Or like Dave says in this comment, like, what about in their PJs? I'd be like, no, we need to, talk about dress code. But now I'm finding there are so many battles that we are working uphill to overcome. That one, it doesn't even occur to me to care anymore about that stuff.
No. And I think like, I'm going to be honest. If you ask me what some of my favorite days at work are when we're in person, it's pajama day. So I am not going to lie to you. I love pajama day. And if I have a chance to wear my pajama pants, I'm just a happier teacher.
Well,
happier person.
Yeah. And I was going to say, like, let's be completely frank. We're live on camera. We've been talking for 30 minutes. And this is technically like kind of like work, right? We're representing the Teach Better family, all that stuff. Are you guys wearing professional clothing from here down? And I mean, I just want to preface, I'm in sweatpants. I just want the world to know.
I'm wearing leggings right now.
I'm in pajama pants. But I think I was afraid you were going to have to stand up. But I think that's most.
Can you please stand up?
No.
I don't have my Harry Potter ones on, so no. But failure today. But I think like that's going back to this comment, that is, and I agree, there are so many battles, and there are a lot of battles right now that really are worth, I'm going to say fighting for. Right. I don't feel like that is one of them. If you would have come into my classroom the week that we had professional development, first of all, my classroom usually has flexible seating and I let my kids sit wherever they want, whenever they want. If their rule really is they're working and learning, and the minute that is a problem, then I'll step in. But if you would have come in my classroom after I had been in Zoom meetings all day, it was like 1:30 and I had cleared off my counter and I was like laying across my counter on my computer doing work. So I just feel like, who am I to tell any of my kids that they can't learn sitting or standing or laying down? Like, if you are learning, that is what matters to me, is that you are showing up, you are learning, and you're connecting. So I guess when we focus on that, if a kid is learning and they're participating and they are showing up every day, like, does that other stuff really matter? I have kids that sometimes eat and they just, because, all of our kids have different, if they've got siblings, they all have a different lunchtime, which I know is got to be so difficult with the parents. So I don't care if you eat on my Zoom. I'm going to ask you to like mute yourself. But like, I really don't care if you eat. I get hungry during the day. It happens. Like, these are the little things that I really don't feel, to me anyways, personally, are not important.
I feel like too, I'm hoping that this kind of changes the conversation when and if we get back in person, because there are certain things that I feel like have been required in in-person classrooms for a long time that are completely unnecessary to successful learning. Like, I'm sorry, but if you want to eat in my class, like, eat. I don't care. You can do that literally anytime. So, and now we can't tell them to stop. So maybe we're going to figure out that it's really not going to hinder their learning. And maybe it'll help them because they won't be hungry. Or maybe a kid can like lay down and learn. And maybe it will help them because they'll be more comfortable and not thinking about how their butt fell asleep. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny because like for some students it will work and for some it's not. And that's a teachable moment. That's an opportunity for us to be like, Ray, you don't work while laying down, so make a different choice, versus Meghan is able to learn best while laying down, so make that choice. Like silly things like that. It's like we have to learn what works for us, just like our students do. And I think that it's important for us to be navigating all those pieces and figuring out what battles we want to fight. So I do want to look at like Dave's question. He's talking about expectations, due date, stuff like that. I have literally spent all day planning for next week. And I'm like almost done. Like I have one more thing to do. And when I say one more thing, I mean like 6. So what's your like, how do you communicate expectations? Like, what are you doing in terms of daily expectations?
So we had like school-wide expectations for how to behave on a Zoom call, which was helpful because it was, like you said, Ray, like one of those things that was taken off our plate that I didn't have to spend a bunch of time figuring out what I was going to tell my students they needed to adhere to. So that was great. And then I'm just kind of modifying like little things each day depending on what we're doing. So like I post an agenda on my Zoom call as kids are coming in. I play music and have the agenda posted. So it's very clear, like, this is what you're expected to do today. I'm still doing like bell ringers, even though we don't have a bell. So it's usually like something like get yourself ready, or check that you've turned in this assignment, or make sure that you have this app on your iPad downloaded and ready to go. Like little things like that are kind of making that piece easier. And I'm expecting my kids to kind of look at that, follow that kind of thing. The one expectation that I have shifted a bit is that I don't require my kids to have their cameras on constantly, but I do require that I see their face at least at one point during our class, even if it's for just a second. And I tell them it's really because, 1, I want to get to know you, and 2, because reading a book out loud to a bunch of blank screens is super awkward. So I just tell them, like, even if it's for a second, I want to see you. I want to make sure you're okay.
I wanted to see if this would work. Is this kind of what what does your screen look like that you're sharing during your Zoom call?
Yeah, so mine looks like a bulletin board that I created, and it has like a little notebook that's got like our agenda with like the 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what we're doing. And then I have, if there's like, they can't click on anything because it's a Zoom call. So I don't put that on there. I have used a QR code on mine, and that worked really well. So I put a QR code for an app that I needed the kids to have. So they just like held their thing up to it. It worked pretty well. But yeah, I have that. I'll have like another little like Post-it note looking guy with the bell ringer. So it is very similar to this.
Yeah, but I like that it's kind of like a few things for them to know, a few things for them to like get prepared for class, and then they're just enjoying the music. I did the lamest thing, guys, first hour on Friday, and it was totally spur of the moment, but I was playing a Spotify playlist that's Josie Bensko's. I don't know if you guys play her Spotify playlist.
All the time.
But it was the Disney music playlist, and so I would play it, and the kids in the chat were guessing what the song was titled. It was so fun. It was literally the best part of first hour Friday.
I saw this thing too. I don't know if you guys follow the Townie teacher on Instagram, but if you don't, she's got quality content. She does attendance questions that the kids answer in the chat on her calls. And I have started doing those, which is one, super fun because like they get to know each other and it builds your community virtually, but also because like then you can see who's there and responding. So that's kind of nice too.
It really gives you like something. I do like would you rather questions. So like
wait, give us an example of a would you rather question.
Actually this was from Friday this was Thursday, I think. And again, it was just funny because it sparked some interesting conversation. Would you rather have no eyebrows forever or have no fingernails?
Oh yeah, my gosh, Meghan, I don't like this.
Oh, well, no, because then we had the conversation. And I was like, okay, but guys, I can draw on my eyebrows anytime I want. To get fake nails, and I don't even know how that works if you don't actually have nails, that's expensive. And would boys get fake nails? I don't really know. So I feel like the eyebrows is the way you go.
No, I was going to go opposite because I wear like nudish nail polish. So I don't feel like I need my fingernails.
Yeah, but isn't it going to look weird? Anyways, I guess the eyebrows would look weird too. But this is the conversation. It's a fun conversation to have when they're like coming in.
Yeah.
I did ask them what their favorite dinosaur was one time.
I don't know that I have.
Oh shoot!
Because
Sorry, I just
who really
did that.
has a favorite? Who really has a favorite dinosaur? But
Yeah, I don't think I have one. I'm trying to think.
A favorite dinosaur?
Like Barney, like a specific dinosaur, or like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I really love Barney, so I'm running with that one. But I think what we meant was like a T-Rex.
Brontosaurus. Is that the one with the really long neck?
There we go.
I think so. I definitely
Whatever
had kids like Googling like long neck dinosaurs and stuff. I'm sure that Google search or IT guys were probably like,
Wait, I have to know, Mike. And I know we're cutting you off because you actually were going to share us valuable like tips in starting the class, but I saw you did one that was ketchup versus mustard. I just want to know, you're in the Chicagoland area. Ketchup should have lost, right?
yeah.
But did people pick mustard usually, or did they pick ketchup?
No, mostly ketchup.
Okay, what team are you guys on?
Mustard all the way.
I like ketchup and mustard.
Would you rather?
I mean, if you made me pick, I feel like ketchup because it goes with more things.
No, mustard goes on so many things.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's so much better.
Clearly, I need to put mustard on more things.
All right, everyone has a homework assignment. Everyone must mustard tomorrow on a new item and tell us what you think.
Tell me all about it. Send them my way so I can try the mustard.
Yep. Sorry, Megan. So you have a would you rather, and most people are eating mustard during it. Tell us more.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do kind of what you guys do. I share my screen. I have an agenda. I play music. And as they come in, so they answer we call it just their share out. So a lot of times it's would you rather. Sometimes it's like the first week it was like, tell me your favorite. Again, I threw dinosaur in there just because it was fun. And then they set their goals. So they do their goal setting at the beginning of the day for me. And so like those are kind of their two things to be doing as I'm letting kids in and taking attendance. And then we kind of jump into we usually talk about the would you rather because it's fun and they all have opinions, but it's been like breaking the ice, and it's really been getting them to chat more. And then like, I'm going to say even defend their answers. Cause sometimes I'm like, okay, but why? And so then they got to explain to me why. So it's just a fun way to get it started. And then we usually go into like our mini lesson.
Yeah, so I feel like when I read Dave's comment, I was thinking more like, okay, after the live session, after we've talked and hung out, how do they know what to do? And so I've really loved the Bitmoji classroom because of this. I know it's the dumbest thing for some people. They're like, I don't get it. But honestly, like this is my plan I'm trying to share my screen. This is it's not even going to work. This is my plan for Monday. And it's like, I'm creating a checklist for them. Like that's the point of the classroom. And then those will be links at some point in time before tomorrow morning, the what's new and mini lesson, because like those are going to be like quick reminders, videos, whatever, kind of explaining the screen. And then the grid and all that stuff, like they know how to do all that stuff. So that's kind of, to me, sharing the expectations for what they need to be doing, that no matter whether we have a live or we don't have a live, you open up your Bitmoji classroom, you find the date, and that's the expectation, is that you're like going through the checklist. And then I'm using Seesaw to take attendance every day, which is how they goal set and reflect. So
nice.
Yeah, I do something similar. I feel like with my expectations, they know within the grid, like what they're supposed to get done that day. And I actually have started at the end of our 30-minute mark, I only let them go if they have finished their expectation for the day, or they can stay with us. And then I stay on for a little bit longer. We also have Go Guardians, so I can see all of their computer screens at one time. And I can close out of anything that I want to. I can open something up on their screens. I can chat with them. So I am able to, this is a first for us. And I don't know how especially now, I don't know how I've lived without it, just because my kids are pretty good, but like every once in a while I'm like, hey, like a couple of them will sneak off Zoom when I'm like telling kids who can get off. So I like chat them. I'm like, hey, you're still supposed to be on Zoom in math. And I can see if they open it or not. So it's just an extra accountability factor. But I like it too because it helps me communicate with them, and they know they can kind of jump in and out of the Zoom if they have questions. They can jump back in.
Yeah. What do you think of this? Students sharing devices or just the bandwidth at home? How are you dealing with that?
I have kids that get kicked out all the time, and they will come back in and be like, "I'm so sorry." So I've told my kid, "You don't have to apologize. It happened day 2 at work." No, it was day 3 because it was our first 2 days, all staff had to be at work. Then starting the 3rd day, we could pick. Day 3, most of the teachers work from home. I worked from school, and my school lost internet. I got kicked out of Zoom. Luckily, I have a co-teacher who was at home, and I was like joining from my phone. So like I'm just not like, if you get kicked out, come back in. Just like jump back in. I get it. It sucks. Jump back in.
Yeah, and if you can't make it, it's kind of like, okay, like I'm not doing my live sessions where it's like end all be all if you're not there. Like we're doing fun stuff, we're interacting, we're discussing, it's going to be helpful, but you can still be successful if you miss a live session every so often. Like that's not, so if you're sharing a bandwidth, it's kind of like, okay, we really hope to see you. Can I help you in any way be successful?
Yep. Recording your lessons on Zoom or on Google Meets is super helpful for that too. Like I have mine set up to just automatically record when they start. And then I post the link to it afterwards. So even if it is something that's like small or whatever, like if they want to go back and watch it, go back and watch it.
Sure. Yeah. Lindsay Titus, genius Lindsay Titus, Teach Better Ambassador Lindsay Titus, says, what did each of you do this weekend? What will you do this week ahead of you? What is your plan? What did you do this weekend, girls?
I tried out a new Christmas cookie recipe.
I saw that on your Instagram, and then you posted it was delicious, but I didn't get one. What happened?
Seriously, I said I'd send her my address.
You guys, these are the best cookies I've ever made. I think this actually might be the best thing I've ever baked in the world.
I think we need like a Teach Better bake night.
And I'm down.
I will
I am
judge.
too.
Can I buy the cookies and tell you I baked them?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'll bake extra. And you can just say you made some.
Yeah. What were the cookies? Because they looked delicious and they were perfectly brown. Like, what were they?
So I love gingerbread cookies, but I hate that they're like crunchy. So like that's my least favorite part of it. I don't like the crunchiness of them and how thin they are. So I decided to look for a recipe for ginger cookies that are like soft and chewy and like delicious. And I found one and I tried it today and they were perfect and amazing. And I've eaten a lot of them.
How many did you bake?
I think 20. I had to think for a second. About 20.
How many are left?
I don't want to answer that.
I would like you on camera at 8
We're doing some math
to tell us.
Probably like 12 left.
Oh, that's not bad.
Mike's here too.
No sympathy. Mike didn't even eat one. We know Mike. He was just like, oh, cookies?
He ate one. And then he's like, are you going to make some chocolate chip too? This is our life.
Oh, man. So was that like the highlight of the weekend overall?
Yeah, I didn't really do all that much. I mean, I will say I recorded some sessions with Neil yesterday and it was really, really fun. Really enjoyed that. I love working with Neil. So that was probably the highlight of my weekend. Like as far as like not professional stuff, the cookies were the highlight.
Oh, man. Your weekend sounds way better than mine. Megan, did you have a really exciting weekend with cookies and Dr. Neil Gupta?
I did not. I actually did a lot of nothing yesterday. I really actually don't think I couldn't tell you if I did anything of any importance yesterday.
I love it.
I don't think I did.
There you go.
It was really nice and relaxing. I watched 2 movies, so.
Okay. I feel like we have busy weeks that, like, for whatever reason, when I looked at my calendar for next week, it's like so busy hour by hour every day, which I feel like it's been busy, obviously being back in the classroom and doing stuff for Teach Better and like supporting our community. But next week, like my calendar is full every hour. I don't know why. It's just middle of September.
Yeah.
It's
We
Rosh
have our
Hashanah next
virtual.
weekend. Everyone should eat apples and honey. Just saying.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a great snack too. Like just
See?
throwing it out there. It is a good snack. Just in general.
Yeah, just in general. This question asks if we all use the grid method, especially virtually, and also asks if you could use it in upper elementary. I just want to preface, we've done the grid method. When I say we, I mean like the Teach Better team. We support educators K through 12. I say K-12, but like we do college too. Like we support all educators. The grid method can work, but no, not all of us use it consistently. I think that the main elements of the grid method is just that you're providing students the ability to work at their own pace. They're getting personalized feedback. They're able to like progress when they feel confident with the material rather than when you decide they're ready to progress. Those attributes, those elements, I think we all use very consistently. So I don't know. It's kind of fun. Anything you want to add to that?
I mean, just to add, how are you using it virtually? I essentially am using it the same way I do in the classroom. The only thing that I've really changed is I kind of think we a lot done this. My instruction videos are a lot more specific, and they're a lot more, I'm going to say like instruction. And I think like they're normally there as help because they're getting that instruction. I'm able to work with them. So that's a little bit more instruction in the video, but I'm using it the same way I would normally do in the classroom.
Guys, how are you doing with your videos? I know I want to get to Chelsea's question because I stalked her Instagram all day today. So sorry, Chelsea. You got a lot of awkward messages from me today, just being like, I love your family, whatever. But I lost my train of thought because I was really excited to talk about Chelsea. I want
videos.
Oh, videos. Guys, I made a 12-minute instruction video today that then I had to like redo or cut up because you can't have a 12-minute instruction. I like preach that you need to keep your videos 3 to 5 minutes. And then I ended this video and I was like, that felt long. I'm going to see how long it was. 12 minutes. I couldn't shorten it. It was long division. Long division's hard. So hard.
I think there's certain things that you have to understand, and like even if it's just long because it takes a long time to explain things. Like I taught my kids how to speed up video playback. There's like a way to do it, and I taught them how because I was like, if I'm talking too slow and you're following me, speed it up. Like,
well, that's true. Because some students really need you to speak slowly and some don't. And so being able to show them those tech features are huge. And especially since the problems I went over, I went through slow because the one student that needs that, I wanted to be able to provide it. But for the students who get it like 2 minutes in, I want them to know, like, then don't watch the rest of the video or speed it up or like move on. You know, like I feel like that's something I really need to articulate better in my next unit, this coming unit. But
so I will say, like with videos and like video lessons like that is one thing that I'm trying to be very intentional about. I will do like one shorter, like here is the lesson and an example that's a little quicker. And then I stop and I'm like, okay, so those of you that are understanding, you are good to stop the video and go start working on whatever the assignment is. Those of you that are still struggling, I'm going to do another example and I'm going to do this one slower. And like, then I go into the next one. So that it gives them that like permission in the video to know that like, okay, it's fine. I can stop now if I get it. And then it's one of those things, like you have to teach your kids to hold themselves accountable. Like if you don't actually understand, keep watching. But like, it's teaching them to know where they are. It's really building that like metacognition in. So as long as you're being intentional too, I feel like you're cool.
Well, and if you were conferencing with a student, Katelynn, that didn't understand it, you could be like, hey, go to that video and fast forward to the 4-minute mark. I go over another example. Did you watch that? And they might be like, no, I thought I was confident. You'd be like, perfect. So you still have more instruction that I provided to you that you just didn't take advantage of, and you can direct them to that resource. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah. I use Screencastify and I don't have the subscription. So I have a 5-minute limit, which is kind of why I'm still using it, because I have a 5-minute limit. So I know. But I also do like something kind of similar. And Ray, you and I had talked about this. I actually think the last time we went live to brainstorm. So I do like the intro notes, and then I do guided. So I link the guided practice as a view only, and I have a video they can click on. So they have the option. They can do the guided practice without the video, or they can watch the video. So it's almost, I mean, really, I'm doing it 10-minute. I'm doing 2 5-minute videos. So they're getting 10 minutes, but the option there to skip that second one if they feel like they need to, or if they feel like they don't need it.
No, that makes sense. I also started doing where I'm reading the directions. Like if they have a resource that like, requires them to read something, I'm providing an audio version, and I'm actually doing it in my digital resource packet. So like I put a little clip art of an ear that it was like, want your teacher to read these directions? Click here, and they can like hear me. It's super lame, but I'm like, oh, I would normally put that in the grid, but now because we're using that digital packet, like they might as well have it right where they need it versus having to like go back to the grid and see if there's an audio version of the activity. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that's so cute. I love it.
Trying. Fingers crossed. All right, sorry. Chelsea wants to talk about assessments. Ray, any updates or feedback on giving assessments digitally? Katelynn and Meghan, I'm curious what you think too, Chelsea. Also, Chelsea had a delicious Starbucks drink this morning.
Yes, she did.
That's so creepy. See, you know what? You laughed at me. You watched the stories too. You stalked her profile. Was not just me.
Her kids are so cute. I can't help it.
Adorable.
I know. I just want to. I don't also, and this is gonna be so creepy, but I really like her house, and so anytime she films,
yes,
Chelsea, we would like a house tour if possible.
Yes, we would.
You know what? It's fine.
Really like it.
People stalk my life all the time, and I find it flattering. Chelsea, be flattered that we all watched your Instagram story.
Ray, I stalk your life too. Don't worry.
Really? Do you need me to do a house tour of my house?
I would really enjoy that. Yes. Please give me a house tour. Can I just come over?
Yes.
We're just going to come over and bake.
Oh.
I feel like that's a good trade-off right there.
Yes.
I can do that. I want to see your pan too. So.
My green.
You're going to say pans.
No, not pans. No, pan. She wants to see my green pan. And you have a like aqua toaster, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually decided to get a toaster oven instead, but it's still aqua and it's gorgeous.
I don't feel like I've been updated on this. Where's the photo?
Oh, I'm sorry. I can send you one. I've got like 4.
Yeah. During the same time when she was being obsessed with toasters, Meghan, I bought a pan that claims to replace like 8 pans in your house. And it does. I don't need anything else besides my green pan.
Nice. I think I need the pan. So.
You need it. You need it.
Okay. That's good to know.
Anyway, so thoughts on assessment, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm going to be honest. I just started instruction this past week, because we were just doing like intro stuff before. So I actually did have a couple kids get to the end of my level, like my first level on Friday. And in terms of assessment, so one of the things that I kind of changed this a little bit. Every day there's some sort of like either quizzes, or I use Edulastic, or what else do I use? I actually started using like boom cards now. Just because it's like a digital like assessment for them kind of. It's not something that like I'm putting in the grade book, but it lets me know, okay, you're above the 80%, you are mastering this concept enough to move on. And those that aren't, then I'm kind of able to have that conversation. I used Google Forms for my level 1 quiz just because I was like, I'm still trying to figure out what's going to work best. And so I use that. Just again, it's my kids that are there. Like I can tell you the grade they're going to get because I've watched them progress through and I've watched their scores up till then. So I know what they know at that point.
Right. What about you, Katelynn?
Yeah, so this has been an interesting thing because English is assessments in English are weird. Because they're usually like, let's write a paragraph, let's kind of put this speech together, or we're going to do a reading conference, and I'm assessing your ability to use those reading skills. So it's been kind of an adjustment in that regard. I have been setting up conferences with my students to talk through books and things like that to assess their reading knowledge. If we're talking grades, that's a whole different story, but I'm going to stick with assessment right now.
We're not talking grades. No one asked you, Katelynn, about grades.
Okay.
Do not get on the grade soapbox.
Not going to do it. I'm going to stay with assessments. Okay. So I have been using like formative checks in Zoom because the broadcasting tool has the ability to do thumbs up, thumbs down, yeses, nos. So as I'm going through things, like I'll have students give me a reaction for where they are in their understanding of something. So that helps continue the instruction. If a kid says, like, gives me that no reaction, like I can create a breakout room with them while my other kids are still working on things. So that's super helpful. Google Forms is my best friend because kids get immediate feedback and they can see then too, like which questions they missed, which is helpful because I always tell them like flag those questions, make sure you look back at those, like go back over those concepts. Depending on how you set up your Google form, I personally like to set it up based on like a standard or a skill for each question. And I will make sure that that same standard or skill is on like some kind of lesson or other activity that we've done. So they know if they miss that one, they know where to go back to relearn or get reteaching. So that's how everything's kind of labeled. Being in a new district that isn't like all the way there yet, I'm teaching my kids a lot of that stuff. So I'm like, okay, when you see these little things in front of the question, that's the goal that you've been working on. Like, so they're learning how to navigate some of that, which has been interesting, but helpful because they're like, okay, I get it now. Like, I know where I'm supposed to look. That makes sense.
Well, you're teaching them to be accountable. That's kind of what we talked about earlier. Like you're showing them how they're not just like sitting there consuming, but they can actually like participate because they not only understand what you're working on, but they're seeing the connection to past lessons as well that they can refer back to because they're still there. They still have access to them. It doesn't go away. You know, like that's valuable.
For sure.
Chelsea, I am doing Google Forms as well. And I'm doing very similar to what Meghan and Katelynn have said. We're like, they're getting immediate feedback on those. A lot of my Google Forms, when I'm asking questions at the very end, I'm having them reflect how they think they did before they find out how they did. And then that becomes the conversation starter when I conference. So I'm doing formative assessments all over, but I have like major quizzes at the end of the level, which I really, again, kind of like Meghan, like I know how they're going to do on those before they take them because we are doing those like thumbs up, thumbs down, feedback, all those different things throughout the time. But especially on those quizzes, when I'm looking at how they did and I'm conferencing, whether it be like in a small group or one-on-one, I'm focusing less on their answers and more on like, hey, there was 7 questions on there on a topic. You thought you got them all right and you got all of them wrong. What does that mean? Like, what does it feel like to understand something? What does it feel like to be confused? What does it feel like to guess? What does it feel like to make an educated guess? Like, I'm focusing so much less on, oh, you got problem 5 wrong, and more on if you really thought you did well but didn't, how does that lead to like you being a better learner in the future? Does that make sense? I don't know. That doesn't really help with grading because we could get into grading, but that's a whole separate topic.
No, I like the way that you're having them think about that though, because that's such a teachable moment. And it's such a place where kids can sit and be like, okay, so I thought I got this, but I didn't. Now, how do I separate when I do get something from when I don't? And that's really powerful. I love that you're having that explicit conversation.
Well, thanks. Guys, Katelynn Giordano approves is what I'm doing. This is like the best.
I'm taking note because I'm going to steal it.
Well, that was the whole point of our conversation. I really just wanted to share that Adam was okay not having eyebrows. I just want that. And I am so behind in the comments. Like, I'm now at the part where they're like, here, let's answer our favorite dinosaur. Like, guys, we've been live for an hour, and I think we talked about this at least 30 minutes ago. Like, that's how behind we are in the comments. I just want
It's so bad.
All right. Does someone want to read this one? I saw a question mark somewhere.
Yeah. Anyone have a good idea on how to get students to actually collaborate during breakouts? I had one last week where I wanted to build our class playlist. I went into the rooms and kids were just sitting there muted, no video. I was so shocked and disappointed.
Bummer. I think that's, again, it kind of goes back to teaching, right? Like you have to practice and model and practice and model and practice and model and then reteach, right? Like I feel like students have no idea how to interact on a Zoom call or whatever, all the calls, right? I'm using Google Meets. But guys, not to call y'all out, and not you guys specifically, just like the world listening, whatever. Like we didn't know how to either when we were doing this months ago. Like we held virtual networking events and we had to like teach people like, how do you say hello when there's 70 people on the call? Or like we had like meetings with districts that the Teach Better team works with of like, how do you set up a Zoom call and what's etiquette? Like all those stuff have to be taught. We can't just assume they know because no one really knew until we did it. And I had so many people, guys, so many people DM me in a Teach Better family being like, I can't build relationships virtually. I can't set up a Google Hangout or whatever. It's like, guys, we've done it now. Like the Teach Better team was built on building relationships virtually. You can do it. It just feels awkward. You just have to try. I don't know.
I would say co-create. Yeah, I would say co-create some norms for that too. Like before I put my kids in breakout rooms, I asked them, I'm like, so what do you think you should be doing in a breakout room? Like if you don't have your camera on for the whole class, do you think you should have it on in a breakout room with 3 other people? Like, and they're like, well, yeah. Like, okay. So like you talk through it, like you got to make those things happen and ask the kids, like, what do you think? If you're going to sit there by yourself staring at a blank screen and not talking, like, is that really going to feel comfortable for anybody in that breakout room? Probably not. So let's figure out what we all agree to when we go into them. And then I will say my colleague did this and like I thought it was the funniest idea ever. She's like, so I just popped into every breakout room and if they were talking, I was like, yay, you're talking. And then I left and went to the next one. And I was like, that's fantastic. So positive reinforcement.
That's awesome.
I think it's also about like, what are you trying to accomplish, right? You can't, a lot of like, it goes back to language. Sorry to go back to this, but like, if you want them to participate in breakout rooms because you want it and they should want to because you want it, again, I feel like that's a losing battle. Like I'm putting you in a breakout room to accomplish something that's going to make you better. This is for your learning. You're not doing me any favors, right? So like there's a little bit in like the language we use of like, hey, will you do this for me? Like, no, you like, that's not, this is for them that you're offering this learning opportunity. So they have to see the why, they have to see the value, and they're going to buy in differently than like, I'm just going to do this because Miss Hewitt asked me nicely. Like there's just a different rapport with that, you know?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Like when Meghan asked me to do things, I'm like, of course, Meghan, I love you. For you, I'll do this. When Katelynn asks, I'm like, no.
That's true. She's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
But then if Katelynn shows me it benefits me in some way, I'm like, oh, okay, now I'll do it then.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll get a cookie, then I'll do it.
Yes. What is this about? I don't like this at all.
I do.
Meghan, come on now.
I like it.
Okay, she's admitting that she watched your Instagram stories. I'm just saying, Amanda's like,
Thanks,
they
Amanda.
did look delicious. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It really did.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many. They took all blue. What?
There's just so many.
There's so many. This one had a question mark, but I haven't read it. Anyone want to read it?
Yeah. We do not have Go Guardian. How do you know that they are working on what they should be working on? How do you explain to parents when they say you aren't teaching their child? I think obviously Go Guardian does make my life 10 times easier. But I think I would argue, how do you know in a classroom they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Because yes, I can't walk around and check on them. And I get that there is that difference. But I think that like, I have something set up every day where they should be completing some sort of again, I'll say assessment, but it's not something I take for a grade. It's really like it's their mastery check. How are you doing with this? And that's how I know where they're at. And I've actually had this conversation. My co-teacher and I were talking about this because a couple other teachers in my building have asked this. How do you know they're doing everything you're giving them? And my argument was, I don't, but if they're doing incredibly well on the mastery check, do I need them to be doing everything?
Right.
Like
right.
If they're showing me what they know, then, and they didn't do anything, they didn't watch any of my videos, then that just means they didn't need me to teach it to them. That's okay. I don't need to be the one that teaches it to them. They might already know it, or they watched 2 minutes of the video and were like, oh yeah, that's right, I got that. So I think really it's the conferencing. That's how you're going to know. That's how you know. It's how you would know in person. You could walk by a computer and see them working, and the minute your back is turned or the minute you can't see their screen, they're playing a game. That happens to me in the classroom. Actually, that I know I've only been in school for 2 weeks, but it's happened to me more in the classroom than it has because I can see their screens on Go Guardian. I don't know if they know it's because I can see them, but it's, you just have to have those conversations. That's how you know where they're at.
And don't forget about oh, go ahead.
I was using like a tracking page, like everything Meghan said, I completely agree. If you haven't found a way to conference with students, that should be your focus. Like, how do I incorporate more conversations? Because right now you can't walk by a student and just talk. So you have to figure out how to make that happen organically, virtually, which is challenging, but there are ways to do it because we are all figuring that out, that, navigating that struggle. But for me, a lot of this is the tracking page. Like, I know exactly what students are working on at all times. Do I know they're actually working like in that moment? No, but they're advocating, saying, this is what I'm working on. And then I can follow up with that and be like, how is it going? Just like in the classroom, except because students are self-paced, I can like pull groups using the tracking page, all of that. That's like saving my life right now. But I totally agree with Meghan's idea of, depending on what they're working on, really you taking that formative assessment, you like checking in with them, having those conversations, that's telling you what you need to know, not that they're like checking a box and doing what you asked at all times. You care more about that they understand it.
And I think too, to add on to something that you said too, it's they know they're going to have a conversation with you that's going to show what they know. And that right there is their accountability. They know they're going to have, if you have that expectation of, regardless of what Google form you do, regardless of what you're doing on your computer, at some point in time, you and I are going to have a conversation. And that's why I tell my kids, you can skip around everything, but when you and I are having a conversation, you can't fake that with me.
Right.
So, and if that's the expectation, that right there is their accountability to be doing what they need to be doing.
Right.
Absolutely. And I was just going to say, like, it's simple, but don't forget about like those simple pieces like Google Docs. Yeah. You can literally see what a kid is doing on a Google Doc as they're doing it, on a Google slide as they're doing it. So if you are really like, if you're trying to hold like a breakout room of kids accountable for doing something, give them each breakout room its own slide and have them be typing something in on there, because then you can see if they're doing the thing in the breakout room. Like, it's simple, it's straightforward. Like, when I've got kids working on paragraph writing, that's something that we've been doing. So it was one of those pieces where like I needed to see if this kid was on doing this piece and actually like listening and then doing his paragraph, because he's like one of my kiddos. He's like, yeah, I'm doing it. And then he turns it in. It's like 2 sentences. And I'm like, bro, So I like pull up his Google Doc and he can see that I'm in there. So like, cause your little picture pops up and then I got a whole paragraph. So I was like, all right, cool.
It's a great suggestion. I love that. Yeah. Talk about like, again, real time, being able to monitor. Like, that's great. I do think it's interesting. Like, how do you explain to parents when they say you aren't teaching their child? I think there's a lot of different like directions we can take that question. But for me personally, like, I stopped worrying about having to have those conversations. Those conversations don't stress me out anymore, because I truly believe that what I'm doing is rooted in best practice for students. I did not feel that way until I started, like, parents scared the bejeebers out of me until I really found the way I was going to run my classroom forever. And that really comes down to like valuing personalized feedback for students, valuing giving them like a self-paced mastery framework that they can work within, valuing conversations with students above all, and valuing aligned instruction to a standard. Like once I got those pieces really rooted to the core, all my units are different. My students take on themed internships sponsored by community members. Like I know I have a wacky classroom, but my instruction is so rooted in like what is best for students, using the research out there and aligning to the standards that are mandated by the country. Like I have no concern explaining my classroom to parents because I not only have it so structured for students that they feel confident as they're going throughout the process, but also I can explain where they're going so well that parents can't argue I'm not thinking through things. I don't know. I guess I'm on a soapbox, but like that was a huge thing for me.
No, that's literally the whole thing. That's it.
Yeah, I think too, like the communication, that question comes from not understanding. Like I think here's the thing, you're going to get that question from anyone that doesn't understand what you're doing in your classroom. And I think that was the huge like revelation for me was it's not that parents are wrong in asking, and it's not that, or admin or anyone, it's just that they don't understand because they're not in your room every day with the kids. And I'm not going to lie, you know, I teach 7th graders. When you ask my kids, especially if you ask them at the beginning of the year, how my classroom is, they're gonna say it as though I don't teach. Is that what they mean? No, but that's exactly how it's gonna come out. So it's explaining, and the minute you explain it to them, I've never had a parent be like, I don't want you to do that with my child. So it's just really that not understanding. And that was kind of my thing, was realizing that it's not coming from an accusatory way. Usually it's coming from they want what's best for their kid. You want what's best for their kid. And you just have to have the conversation. And then they're like, oh, that makes sense. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we had some comments in our private Facebook group at teachbettergroup.com that were talking about like, what do you put in your video emails to families? So I was talking about how I've done like so many, probably 15 total so far. We've been in school for 3 weeks. And they're like, what are they on? And I'm like, honestly, if somebody asks me a question more than once, like a parent or like a student tells me their parent was wondering whatever, if I hear it more than once, I just make a quick video explaining it and then I send it out. And it takes me 3 seconds to do. It doesn't. It's more like 5 minutes. But it's just me getting on camera being like, hey, this came up and it was something. So if you want to know about it, here's like an explanation. If you don't, delete this email, right? It's like just trying to over communicate so they feel comfortable with you and comfortable asking questions.
100%.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, so many things. All right. I'm looking for questions, and people are loving your Google slide suggestion, by the way.
Yeah. Thanks.
How do you conference in Zoom? Breakout rooms aren't recorded, so our district isn't okay with doing these.
We can't do it either.
Right. Okay, so I heard the best idea ever for this. I'm not going to lie. And I've used it, and it's freaking awesome. So you take all your kids in your Zoom session with all of them. And if you're meeting with them in small groups or one-on-one, kick everybody into the waiting room. Every other kid, put them in the waiting room. They can't talk to each other because they're sitting in the waiting room. They can see messages from you because you can send a chat to the waiting room, but they are sitting in the waiting room until you admit them. And then the kids that you are meeting with in that room are still recorded because they're just in the main session. You just kick them all out into the waiting room. It's amazing. It works. It's fantastic.
Really
I have no idea who to credit it to because I can't remember who told it to me, but they're a genius.
That's awesome. Your answer is so much better than mine. Mine was going to be iConference on Zoom right there with them in front of everyone. But it's not, and I don't mean like, hey, I put them on the spot in front of everyone. But I'm going to be honest, that's how my classroom is. Like because it's never coming from a bad place. Like when I'm saying things to them ever, it's just like helping them be better. And that's just the classroom environment that we have. So like, and the other thing I'm going to say is like, usually if I'm trying to get all their attention on Zoom and they've been working, it takes more than once because they're like working. So they're not really concentrating, or they're listening to a video or something. It's not really concentrating on what I'm saying. So like I'll say somebody's name and then we just start having a conversation and kid doesn't care and so I just literally kind of do it in front of everyone. Obviously, if it's a conversation like I wouldn't be having in front of everyone, then that might be like a separate one-on-one meeting that I set up. But otherwise, I really just try in front of everybody.
I won't lie, guys. I am not requiring kids to be on like with me when they're working. So we do like our like welcome, hey, we get reminders. We go over like, don't forget, you're going to virtual classroom portal, which is the Bitmoji classroom, and you're doing the checklist. And then students leave and they go work. And then I leave that link open. My student teacher and I, or my co-teachers and I, we're on that the whole time, the entire class. So if your class is 47 minutes, we are there the whole time. If you have a block, whatever. And students are literally popping in and out the entire time. So they're coming into that Google Meet when they need to conference, when they have a question, whatever. And sometimes like when students pop in, like I'm looking at the tracking page the entire time. So if I'm conferencing with a student and another student pops in and they need a conference on the same thing I'm already conferencing on, like I immediately welcome them in. And then I ask like, hey, Megan, Katelynn just popped in. She also needs to conference on 2G. We've already been talking. Megan, can you ask Katelynn a question about 2G? Like I get them engaged automatically. And if they're coming in and they're like red because they have a question, I'm like, hey, Katelynn, I see that you're here. Hang on for a few minutes. We'll get to you in a second. Sometimes Katelynn's question already gets answered in the tracking page because you like post the question through a comment. So sometimes she like just will wave and then leave, like because she didn't need us to answer it, right? So like I just feel like our conferences are super organic because that Google Meet is available at all times. And if I see like Megan, if you're ahead and Katelynn needs to conference on something behind, then I can include you both. And Megan, you can just be like a teacher in that conference and Katelynn can share. Like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's working really well, but I'm like surprised it's working. I don't know if that makes sense.
I like it. I think that sounds really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, I leave my Zoom open the whole time too. So a lot of them leave me. And I'm starting, like I said, I keep my kids if they're not like done with what they're supposed to be done with at that 30-minute mark for now.
Right.
But I'm trying, like we're working on the knowing that like you can pop back in, which a lot of my kids know. But for some of my kids that need more support, we're working on the like, if I let you go, you are still accountable and then you can come back. So we're working on kind of building that up.
Well, it's interesting. Like for the students that I'm worried about that I want to keep checking in with, so how we work. So like, I'm like, okay, if you don't need a conference, then you can go, except if I call your name. So then I like say a few students' names. And then for those students, I'm like, hey, I'm going to let you go because I'm in a conference with these students, but I want you to set a 10-minute timer and pop back in 10 minutes. And they have to show me they set the timer before they leave. So I'm like, either when the timer goes off or if you need a teacher conference or have a question, you're coming back. So like every 5 to 10 minutes, depending on the student and how often I want to check in with them and what the day's looking like so far, like they come back. And sometimes it's like, oh, are you back because of your timer? Yeah. How are you doing? Fine. I'm in the middle of this video. I'm like, cool, finish the video and then come back again. Like, so we're like setting up those checkpoints.
Yeah, like that.
It's really working.
I'm gonna have to start doing that more. Again, I'm trying to build that like teach them that independence and teach them when to know that they need help.
Right.
Because I mean, in the classroom, we always talked about like the productive struggle. It's okay to struggle, but please don't sit and struggle for 30 minutes on your own and just not really get anywhere.
Right.
So, teaching that. But I like that timer idea. I'm gonna have to use that.
That's good. Guys, we've been live for an hour and a half.
I'm fun. I'm having fun.
Woo, that's a long time.
I miss you guys.
I want to do like a, hey, last call for questions. Last call. Any other orders? Let us know. We'll talk through whatever. But holy cow, it's been a lot of conversation. I feel like some good suggestions and some shenanigans. I'd like to go back to the would you rather conversation.
Pretty
Listen,
good.
I have 100 would you rather questions ready to go. So if we just want to like jump on a live and play would you rather, you just let me know.
Can you give us one more while we're doing our last call for final questions from our friends on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter?
Oh, okay. Yes, I can, because this one was our Friday one, which also sparked some debate. Would you rather have your birthday every day or your favorite holiday every day? And then I have a follow-up.
My favorite holiday is my birthday, so.
Of course it is.
See? But now my question to you is, because then I followed up with this. I was like, okay, so like everybody was picking their birthday, which is fine.
I would too.
But like, does that mean that every day you're aging a year? Because like, then I'm not okay with that. And they were like, well, no. If it's your birthday every day, you only age once a year still. And I was like, okay, but by birthday standards, that's really not what happens. So I need to clarify what we're going by, right?
Oh,
I still pick birthday, but
No!
with Botox.
If I had to age a year every day, no.
You guys, I love
You
my
would
birthday.
be dead. You would be dead in like a few months.
But then I'd have to pick a favorite holiday. I don't even know what my favorite holiday is.
Here's my issue with favorite holiday. So my favorite holiday has like very specific food you would eat. And I don't want to be committed to only eating the food that is served on that holiday. So I would have to switch my favorite holiday to be something more open-ended where you could eat like if my favorite holiday was Thanksgiving, I feel like there's such a variety of food you could eat that would be like, this works for Thanksgiving. But if your favorite holiday was like, okay, Passover, I don't know how you guys have probably never celebrated Passover. Passover has like very specific food you have to eat. And I would get so over it so fast. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I picked Thanksgiving because I like the food.
Right. There would be a lot of options for food.
You have to play Would You Rather because it is so much fun and it is open to so many questions. I'll send you my 100 Would You Rather questions.
Yes, please.
Which was really funny. It had them when I found them, it had them separated by like elementary, middle, and high school.
Oh.
First, I just did the middle school ones, and then I was reading the elementary, and I was like, no, I would ask all my kids that. And then I read the high school ones, and was like, no, I would ask all my kids that too. So I just took 100.
What was like? What did they label as a high school Would You Rather versus an elementary?
That's a really good question.
I assumed it would be like appropriateness. No, it couldn't be. It must be like age, like them being aware of their birthday versus not aware. I don't understand.
All right, here we go. Like, here's a high school question. Would you rather eat a worm or eat a grasshopper?
I
would ask any of my
high
kids
school
that.
And also
I'm just saying, that's how they had it separated.
Grasshopper.
Would you rather have a pet tiger or a pet shark? A pet tiger. Yeah. I'll do over, but.
I don't know though. Tigers
wrestle?
Did you just say wrestle?
Is that what you said?
No, I said, would you rather have a pet tiger or a pet shark?
Oh my gosh, a pet tiger is just a big cat. Come on,
no,
guys.
I think I would go shark.
Glad them all over it.
Shark.
Why?
Tigers kind of freak me out.
I guess like a shark, you can technically put it in some water and then never get in the water. The tiger, I really don't know what you do with it because I don't really think a door is going to stop it.
Right.
But it's really cute. That's I know. That's my problem.
A shark would be like a big aquarium that's like fun. I wouldn't swim with it. A tiger, I would feel badly not interacting with it. I don't know.
All right, I've got one more just because it's funny. Would you rather have giant adult feet or tiny baby feet on your regular sized body? Say, when you ask your kids this stuff, guys, you can't not have fun with it. It's just fun.
Oh my God, this is absurd.
Anyone wants any would you rather? Just
what's your one for tomorrow morning?
Oh, what is my one for tomorrow morning?
I don't know.
Would you rather have a pet porcupine or a pet skunk?
Oh. Porcupine.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I think I'd go with porcupine.
Yeah. All right. I just want to say hi to Livia because she commented, and it's always good to hang out with Livia. And then this says, I heard a suggestion that you put all students in their own breakout room. Then you can see like all that works. Like there's been so many ideas shared. Chelsea says, thank you so much for sharing all your ideas. She did confirm she would do a house tour. I just want that to be documented. Yes, that was good. So fun. Oh my gosh. Okay, we've been live for an hour and a half. Thank you everyone who hung out for the shenanigans. We hopefully tried to be helpful. I always love stealing ideas from you guys. So I really appreciate you sharing your ideas with me so that I can like try and live through remote learning. My last question for you guys that I want to just get in the books before we end is, when do you guys decide if remote learning changes? Do you have any, has your district said a timeline? Where are you at in terms of that? Just so, because the next time we go live, maybe things will be different.
We're set to go live set to go live. I can't even talk anymore. We're set to have remote learning through our first trimester, which gets us to, I think, like November 6th. And I have no idea where they're at in terms of law. I think it'll be a long time before they make any other sort of decision.
What about you, Katelynn?
We have PD on Wednesday, and I have no idea. So things just keep changing, and I don't think anyone really is able to guess. Like, they haven't set a date for when remote learning is ending. And
Right.
so we're all just kind of going with it for right now and doing everything that we can. So for my planning self, I'm just trying to keep myself about a week ahead of time. Because things just, I mean, even with the schedule, like, it's changed a few times because of feedback from students and trying to make sure that we're doing what's best for kids. And so I appreciate the changes and the fact that we're taking that feedback and making sure that we are putting our students first. And so it's just one of those things now where we're just kind of waiting to hear. So yeah, who knows?
Yeah, we're remote until the end of first quarter at least. So they're going to make a final call, or they say that they're making a call October 1st if things are changing for second semester, which will be interesting. So we will see, friends. We will see. Just keep tracking. Ugh. All right. Well, girls, it was so awesome to see you. Sorry it's late, but I hope you all have a wonderful week, and you're all amazing. So thank you for sharing your ideas here. It's fabulous.
Yeah, anytime.
Awesome.
All right. We'll see you later, guys. Have a good night. Bye, friends.
Bye.